students, I am Shweta Dave, your language trainer, and today we are going to talk on PTE, that is repeat sentences. So here I will share my screen. So talking about the content of the today's session, we have what are the test patterns, we have general speaking skills, do's and don'ts of repeat sentences, criteria, scores and markings, and we'll be working on the memory. Let us begin with the first slide, that is the format of the repeat sentences. In PT repeat sentence, you will get a toggle where there would be an audio which will be played in front of you and you have to repeat the sentences after listening to the audio. You will have minimum 6 to 8 words to 15 to 16 words in the audio, where the audio will last for 3 to 9 seconds. You have 15 seconds to answer your repeat sentence question. While we are doing this task, when we are performing this task, I want to share one thing over here, that is whenever you are recording your voice, once the audio stops, you'll get a chance to record your voice and then after record yourself. One most important rule of PT exams is you cannot pause for more than 3 seconds, is because once you stopped or once you are pausing, the mic will be mute and your voice will not be recorded. So you need to take care about this thing whenever you are recording yourself. Over here in PT repeat sentences, there are two skills which are judged, that is speaking and listening. Yes, obviously, how good listener you are. Whatever you listen and whenever you listen it completely, you'll be able to speak it more clearly. So there are 32.1 points for speaking and 19.7 points that will be given to the listening part. Then after moving towards the skills that are necessary for PT repeating the sentence, we usually tend to repeat sentences which maybe because we make mistakes in such a kind of repeat sentences, that is because we tend to forget the words, we fumble, either we jumble the words. So here in PT repeat sentences, there are few things that will be judged on. The first is your fluency, second is the content, and the third is the pronunciation. So while fulfilling these assessments, we need to take care that we should not process each word individually. That is, let's take an example. There is a statement, the seminar of the exam will be held on Saturday evening 7 p.m. So when there is a statement like this, you need to focus on each and every word. You cannot jumble the sentences. You need to, obviously you will have notes with you so you can take the notes. While taking the notes, you need to focus on each word so that you don't skip the word, you don't miss the word, and you don't add your own new words. Then after, you have to repeat the sentence without changing the format. As I said, you cannot jumble the words. Whenever you are speaking, you have to speak the ditto statement that will be spoken in the audio. You need to boost up your short-term memory. We'll be talking about some kind of memory that humans have, and Based on the same, we need to boost up our short-term memory. Obviously, some people are, such people who tend to have a very short-term memory. They forget things. But here, this point is going to be an advantage. You need to speak with a moderate speed and clearly without hesitation. Yes, this is very important. As I said earlier, that you cannot pause, you cannot fumble. You need to speak clearly and fluently so that the mic don't go mute. Secondly, your fluency level is maintained. And thirdly, the clarity is being presented. You need to practice chunking. People ask me what is chunking. Chunking means use of phrases, concessions, connectors. Specifically, when you use these resources in your speaking module, you tend to go for gestures and postures. For an example, if there is a comma given there in the statement, that means you need to pause there a little. Not more, but yes, a little. Not more than 3 seconds, but little. You can pause there and you can speak up the statement. The next point is maintain the pace of speaking. Yes, this is also one of the important part when a person is speaking, especially when you record yourself. Whenever you're talking in front of a mic, you need to take care that you maintain the pace. It usually happens that when something of our interest or when there is an easy question to be recorded, we tend to speak with speed. But here I would like to say every one of us might have played the game of kabaddi, and we know the way or the pace with which we start speaking kabaddi, kabaddi, kabaddi. The same way we have to maintain till the end of the test. So that would be also an important skill that a person has to learn. Your pace of speaking has to be same from the first question till the end of the examinations. Next, yes, there are some do's and don'ts that we often tend to make mistakes in. And though the main strategy over here is to listen, how good listener you are, you'll be able to present more better way, and you'll be able to understand the sentences more appropriate manner. But yet, there are some do's and don'ts that we need to follow when we do our repeat sentences task. The first one is you need to remember every word. Yes, skipping a word, missing a word, replacing a word is not PTE repeat sentences strategy. You will lose bands if you are not able to speak the correct word. You need to make notes. Making notes is a crucial part of PTE exams. You need to remember the audio in parts. Yes, whenever we'll be doing a sample sentence, I'll let you know how you can divide the statement in parts. One example, let me give you. When I said that the meeting for the examination will be held on Saturday evening, you can break the sentences in the parts so that you are able to remember the statement well. You need to learn vocabulary. Learning vocabulary is not only for the self-memory, but yes, there are sometimes some words that are out of the context for us. We are not aware about the words, and that is the reason that the person tend to make mistake while speaking the same word. Let me give an example again, that is word called brutality. Now there are some people who are not aware about the word brutality, and if the word is spoken with a speed or in the repeat sentences audio, there are chances that person tend to forget the word because they have heard it for the first time. So here comes the part of vocabulary. If you have good knowledge of vocabulary, it will be helpful to you while listening the correct terminologies. Obviously, being a good listener gives you to be a good speaker. On the other side, there are some don'ts that we suggest the students to follow while they are appearing for PTE exams. First one is do not think while speaking. Yes, when a person tend to think while they are speaking, there are chances that they may forget the words. Moreover, if you are thinking, for example, that the same sentence will be talking on the meeting of the examination is held in on the Saturday evening, and in between, if you are thinking the examination, the meeting of the examination, if this happens, till the time your time limit will be gone, your mic may get mute, and you may tend to skip the answer. So rather than that, be sharp at listening the audio and try to speak as soon as the recording button is on. Do not add fillers, connectors, or concessions. Here, you need not add any of the extra connectors or any of the extra words that are not given in the audio. You have to speak same copy to copy sentence that is given to you in the audio. Avoid false start. What is false start? Yes, false start means we are always taught whenever we write our essays or whenever we are appearing for creative writing competitions, we are always told that have a habit of paraphrasing. That means we do not copy the question. Rather than that, what we do is we paraphrase the question. So that is again starting a statement in our way, not in the way that it is given in the question. So here, this thing is not needed at all. You have to avoid the false start. Directly, you need to give the statement that is given to you as soon as the recording button is on. Do not change the format of the sentence. We have already come across this rule. As I said earlier, we are not allowed to give any of the sentence formation. Ditto to ditto, same to same words and sentences has to be spoken. Another major mistake that people are making is do not rush, otherwise mic will not record. Wait for your mic to turn on to record your answer. Record very calmly. Speak with the same pace with what you are speaking your native language. This will be very helpful, specifically when a person, or I can say when your audio is being identified. The other person or the listener will come to know that, all right, there is a pause. The speaker or the student has taken a pause over here. There might be a comma. There might be a semicolon, anything like that. Be normal, be formal, and be comfortable is the only trick when that would be helpful for any student to be comfortable with the PT system. I hope do's and don'ts are more than clear. Switching over to our next slide, we have how to focus on criteria. Now, first of all, as I said, there are mainly three criteria that PT looks for is fluency, content, and pronunciation. So when we talk about these three criteria, yes, obviously these three criteria also gives some of the sub criteria that we need to focus on. For example, I have come across so many people who are knowing English but are not able to speak English, who are very good writers, but when they are told to speak for a minute or even continuously in the English language, they are facing problems with the speaking. They fumble, they pause, they add fillers like uh, they keep on thinking. They don't find good words to frame their sentences. There are people who are not able to make sentences by thinking at the back of their mind. So yes, there are so many hurdles that one come across, specifically when a person is recording or the person is speaking English. Here we have 5 P's of presentation. You can also say these are 5 P's of speaking skills. or 5 P's to pronounce well or to maintain the fluency. One is project. You need to have a very good focus on the words that you hear. If you are listening correctly, you'll be able to present correctly. Second, you have is pronounce. Yes, you need to pronounce very clearly. As being in India, being a native speaker of Gujarati or Hindi language, we tend to pronounce things and words in different ways. All right, that has to be avoided. Here specifically, you need to have a clear pronunciation rather than having any kind of problems or pauses in between. Third criteria we have is pace. As I discussed earlier, it is just like a kabaddi game. You have to be normal, and you can be normal only when your speaking style goes on normal. If you speak with a speed initially and then lower down your volume or lower down your confidence, the other person will come to know that, okay, the person is getting nervous. Or examiners may get to know that you are not able to remember things very easily. Fourth, you have a pitch. Yes. How do you feel if I speak with this pitch and suddenly I lower down my voice? Like, hello, I'm not able to hear you. Yes, the same thing happens with you also when you are being recorded. You need to maintain the pitch of your volume. I can say the volume that is inbuilt over here. You need to maintain that with your fluency. And fifth important one is pauses. Yes, you need to pause at some punctuations. You need to take the statement the way it is presented to you so that it is more clear and the examiner can understand how good you are at pausing the statement. Yes, this is the important criteria over here we have is prepare yourself in 3 seconds. Usually it is very difficult for humans to speak immediately. Yes, if a person is given the time to think for 1 minute or think and then answer, probably the person may be self-confident and may be able to present very well. But here you will get only 3 seconds time to prepare speaking and to prepare to give the input. So we need to also we need to have this ability whenever we prepare for our PT repeat sentences. There are 5 different aspects. Again, over here, I have talked about pace. I have talked about phrasing. As I said, phrasing in repeat sentences, why we need to focus on this criteria is because we humans are, especially who all are learning English, we are not used to use complex sentence structure. And this is the problem that we are having whenever we are speaking such kind of repeat sentences. When we have 2 to 3 sentences mixed up in one set of sentence, we tend to forget the initial part of the sentence or we tend to forget the end of the sentence. Or by the time we remember the end of the sentence, we have to think that what he started with, right? So this we need to improve. So phrasing is one such skill which enhances your ability to write and speak sentences with a complex sentence structure. No repetition. You need to maintain the rhythm and intonations. Intonations again means the same thing. The pitch of your voice. You need to be clear, louder, and as PTE is a computer-based examinations, you will have these surroundings which will have little bit of disturbance to which you have to be get used to. Because there are 2 to 3 other participants who would be performing the same question at the same period of time. So speaking with them or without their disturbance is little difficult. So here you need to maintain your pace, you need to maintain your tone, you need to maintain fluency and clarity, so that your voice is being input in the mic. Along with this, we need to learn, or we need to know the 44 different sounds that are there in English language, because we people are struggling with the pronunciation of the word. That is because we are not knowing the different sounds. For an example, we Indians speak schedule or schedule, whereas Americans call it schedule. Right. So these are different pronunciation that will be prolonging in your test, but knowledge of the different pronunciation is must. If you are knowledgeable enough, you'll be able to identify the pronunciation, as well as you'll be able to perform and speak the same pronunciation in a better way. Moving ahead with the next slide, we have how this task is being scored. Yes, as I said, there are mainly three criterias in which, talking about content, once you speak the sentence and if you are repeating any word again and again, then there are chances you may lose your points. You can only get 3 points of content when you speak each of the word correctly and the complete sentence is spoken correctly. You may get 2 points if 50% of the words are being skipped, missed, or replaced, and 50% of the sentence is developed well, whereas the other 50% there are chances that you tend to forget the words, and 50% of the statement is not well developed. So at that time, there are chances you may score 2 points. One that is less than 50% words, you almost forgot what words the speaker is pronouncing or speaking in the audio file, is the time when you may score 1 or less than that also. If you are not giving any inputs, you'll get 0. So I can say incorrect sequence, saying different word other than the words given in the audio, or error in the grammar, or tenses, skipping or adding words may lead you to the lower score. Next, we have pronunciation and oral fluency. Yes, if you are a very good native speaker of English language, there are chances for you to score 5 points. If you are having knowledge of English language proficiency, you are, I can say, an advanced learner of English language, then you may get 4 points. 3 points for good speakers who do make mistakes, not too much, but yes, they tend to make mistakes. Intermediate score for those who are 50% making attempt to repeat the sentence, and low score for those who have less than 50% of the attempt, or I can say out of the 13 to 15 words, they tend to speak hardly 2 to 3 words, which will not make a correct sentence. So that would be a low score. And non-English means obviously no inputs will lead you to the 0 score in pronunciation and oral fluency. People who add Gujarati words, Hindi words, Indianism will all face the problem of 0 scores in repeat sentences. All right, so talking about the memory, as I discussed earlier, that we people, we are hardly having a very good memory. There are people with short-term memory, they forget things very easily. Even they can, like for example, a very small example I can give is forgetting your keys very often. So these are some of the examples that are examples of short-term memory. But here, as I said, the short-term memory will be advantageous to you people, is because when a person is having a short-term memory, they can work on the working memory. Here we have 3 types of memory. long-term memory, that a person can remember things for days and years and years. There is short-term memory, which can lead you to remember things that you did couple of hours previous, or couple of days previously, or a couple of minutes, few minutes back. If you have done a task and if you remember it, that is your short-term memory. Working memory is when you listen to something and immediately you will come to know that no, you have spoken this, I heard that. So that is your memory, that is working. I can say the active memory will be considered as an working memory. So one need to work on the third memory by increasing their listening ability. You should be very vital enough, you should be very wise enough to work on such kind of memory. Let's take an example. The first step towards the success is to find a suitable trainer. Now here, as I said, breaking of sentences. Whenever you are remembering something, the first thing what you can do is making notes is the first step. Secondly, you can do is you can break the sentences and try to put it in your memory. You can break it. The first step towards the success is to find a suitable trainer. This is how, if you remember the sentences in bits and pieces, there are chances you will be able to speak the sentence correctly, fluently, and totally, including all the words that are being spoken. All right, now many students have this problem. Ma'am, how to memorize these statements? I'm not able to remember the words. How will I remember such kind of statements? Yes, to this problem, we can say that the person can make notes. Even while making notes, tend to write just one word or the short forms that you are able to read it. So you will come to know that how one after another sentence or words are being connected when you speak. Write keywords in the notes and not the complete sentences. As is already said, make sure that you write the words, specifically one word notes, so that you can remember it well. Listen to the phrases and focus on the same. There are chances, as I said earlier, that when a person will be using a complex sentence structure, as we are not used to complex sentence structure, we tend to forget the partial part of the statement or the later part of the statement, and we are not able to present the complete statement at a time. So make sure you focus on the phrases, or make sure you focus on the every part of the question. Practice chunking. Chunking is also being discussed. Have a habit of using concessions like however, despite of, in spite of, no sooner than but also. Practicing such sentences or practicing chunking will help you lead in the proper speaking of English language. The way you people talk in Gujarati or the way you people talk in your native language is very fluent. Like you have always seen this thing whenever you are speaking in Gujarati or Hindi or your native language. You never tend to get paused. Has it ever happened that even if you speak for more than 2 minutes, you tend to lack breathe, or you feel like, I'm tired, I need to think and I have to speak then after? You will never face such problem. But there are chances you may face such problem when you speak English language, because that is not your native language. To improve such pauses, to improve such time that you take while speaking, you need to practice chunking. Repeat the sentence as if you are explaining the sentence, or you are informing the sentence. Yes, now many students come to me asking, Ma'am, how can you be so normal? Or how can you explain such things very easily? I'm not a native English speaker, but still I'm able to continue with the flow. Is because I am habitual to speak English for more hours in my day-to-day routine. Secondly, you have to speak the sentence as if you are explaining it to someone. You are not a news reader. Yes, news readers do get marks in PTE, but more than that, if you be the normal speaker and not a news reader, you will score more in PTE exams. You can also use Google's text-to-speech to understand the meaning and the pronunciation of the word. Whenever you are stuck up with any kind of word and you are not knowing how to pronounce that word, immediately you can Google out the word. There is a facility of text-to-speech which will give you the correct pronunciation with the correct meaning, and try to repeat the statement or the word the way Google pronunciation pronounce. All right, I think these are more than enough tips, skills assessment, and description of PT repeat sentences. For more information, you can always contact us on the given link and bio. Thank you so much. I hope you'll have a very good day. Thank you.